Hello and welcome to a new episode of our new podcast series, Tech View, Pioneers of Innovation. Our guest today is Mr. Srikant Sastri. He is a man who dons many hats. He is an advisor, a mentor to some of the most prestigious universities across India. He is a best-selling author and an entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience. He has built and sold startups to some of the European giants, and currently he is the co-founder of Crayon Data, an AI and database startup based in Singapore. Today, he will be interviewed by Professor Amitabha Bandyopadhyay, who is not only the co-professor in charge of SIIC at IIT Kanpur, but he was also the co-author of their project together, a best-selling book named Ventilator Project. Please welcome both of them.
So, Srikant, welcome to the Tech View.
Thank you.
Tech View is a new initiative of SIIC IIT Kanpur, where we invite stalwarts in the field to talk about startup, entrepreneurship, innovation in general. So, you are no stranger to this arena. You have been associated with the innovation ecosystem for a very long time.
Right.
And of course with IIT Kanpur's incubator and that ecosystem for quite some time now. So, we will start from the beginning.
Okay.
That I remember getting in touch with you somewhere around 2017, 2018 when you came for your union. And you were drawn to SIIC. I remember that I carried your batchmates in a packed car, and I gave you an introduction to SIIC. But you have been doing a series on YouTube called Chalo Startup even before that. And you mentioned that evangelizing the startup culture is one of your missions in life.
Right.
Why?
Okay.
Why do you care?
So, before I answer that question, I'm going to do one correction. You said I got involved with SIIC. The answer to that is that your third profession, besides being SIIC professor in charge and BSP head of department, you should have been a jail in charge. Because आप alumni को पकड़ लेते हो और उनको जेल में बंद कर देते हो. And that is what happened. I came for an alumni get together. पता नहीं कौन से जेल में मुझे फंसा दिया आपने. So that is how I got involved with SIIC. But jokes apart, I think the reason I evangelize entrepreneurship is because I genuinely believe that for the economic growth of India, the contribution that the startup ecosystem can make, whether in terms of the new services and products that are launched in the market, and more important, the number of jobs that can get created. And one of the drivers for this is around 2017, I did a small project where I tried to estimate whether it's the large corporate sector of India or whether it is the startup sector which generates more livelihoods in an efficient manner. So I created a metric called jobs per crore of capital deployed. So I took the top 100 companies listed on the National Stock Exchange and I analyzed their balance sheet to check till date how much capital they have deployed and how many do they employ now, whether full-time or contractual. And I did the same exercise for startups. And the numbers were shocking. If you take the large conglomerates which are manufacturing conglomerates, L&T, Mahindra and Mahindra, Reliance, per crore of capital deployed, it's less than one job created. Private sector companies in the services sector, TCS, Wipro, or hospitality or healthcare companies like Apollo, it's typically in the 4 to 10 jobs per crore of capital deployed. Not surprising because they're labor intensive. But when you take startups, the number is well beyond 5, 10, 15 and in some cases as high as 30 or 40 also. So very clearly, if you have limited pool of capital in India and where do you choose to deploy it, if you deploy it in the startup sector, you will create more jobs, and creating jobs is what the country needs the most. And that was one of the key insights and eye-openers for me. And I said, look, let me, what I have at my disposal is my time and past experience. Let me use it for evangelizing entrepreneurship. That was the root cause, actually.
it is quite interesting that you have done this analysis, because when I was slowly getting introduced to this ecosystem and trying to understand the importance, I came across a paper published in Nature, of all places, that did very similar kind of an analysis between 1970 and 2015. 85% of the jobs created in the US are entities that have less than 15 people employed in them.
Not surprising at all.
Yeah, so this is definitely a driver for the economy, like for job creation.
Right.
But I also feel that startups, by definition, because see, they have to, we are not talking about someone starting up a petrol pump or another real estate company, like the conventional sense of startups, where they are bringing new products.
Right.
They address very interesting, so far overlooked societal problems. And I have been following your Chalo Startup, channel, and you have some quite interesting examples. Maybe you can tell all of us about some of those.
See, my fundamental belief is that why do I think that India has among the greatest potential among countries in the world to be the startup hub? Purely because India as a country has the most problems. If there's a problem, there's an opportunity for innovation. We have air which is bad, water which is bad, roads which are bad, traffic which is bad, people don't have enough to eat, and all those are opportunities. And the innovations that are required for this, while technology can be a big game changer, but sometimes it can be very, very simple. And one of my favorite startups is this company called Peabody. This founder, Deep Bajaj, he had a simple insight. When he saw in his family that they went on a long road drive on a holiday to a hill station from Delhi, there are no public toilets decent for women to use. Men can stand anywhere and do it, but nothing for women. So he created a simple device which is actually made of cardboard, using which women can stand and pee. And therefore you don't have to sit on a dirty toilet seat. Now that to me is also an innovation actually. On the other hand, there can be very high-tech innovation. One of my other current favorite startups is a startup called Beethoven, Beatoven. It's a play on Beethoven. And this is founded by the CEO is a 7th generation sitar player from the Dharwad Gharana. He's a great sitar player himself. His co-founder is a music tech specialist who studied in India, then went and studied at the best school in Barcelona for music technology. The two of them have created a simple product called Beethoven.ai, which is AI generated music actually. Now that is, again, you're solving an important problem, because for normal people, you can't go to a music producer and say, make a music for me. Particularly, take this video that you're shooting. If you want to overlay music, you can either go and pick up cheap free music from the internet, or you can use this tool. You can't go to Shankar Ehsaan Law and say, create music for this. It's unaffordable, right? So, to me, these are two, one which uses technology and one which uses simple cardboard innovation to make it happen. And that is why I'm so, these are two examples, two extremes that come to my mind. One is the current AI technology, generative AI technology, and the other is really no technology. It's like what school students do with craft work at school, right? Plastics, cardboard se bana ke kuch karte hai, that kind of innovation. So it spans the full spectrum actually, something very simple to something very modern technology.
I just completely agree with you. And India is such a fantastic playground for startups, because here on one hand you have extreme poverty and there are definitely ways to intervene in there, and on the other hand India has some of the most affluent consumers in the world, and there can be innovations for them as well. So therefore the startup the spectrum spans
the whole thing.
And we at SIIC have seen that startups that are coming that addresses problems of the lower economic strata and most upper economic strata. So you're absolutely right there. So the other question that because you are associated with several incubators in the country. You have been the chairperson of the board of Kolkata incubator. You are, I think, a member of the board of Venture Center, and of course, you are a member of SIIC IIT
Yeah.
Kanpur's board. And you are generally aware of the whole ecosystem. What do you think are the most important deliverables
Right.
for an incubator?
Right. So, before I answer that, I must tell you that one of the challenges and tragedies we have in India is that even though the government over the last 10, 12 years has put in a lot of effort and money behind supporting incubators, whether through Department of Science and Technology or BIRAC of Department of Biotechnology, but the number of high quality incubators is in single digits or low double digits. And that is where the issue lies. What makes for a good incubator? Most incubators have chosen to be co-working spaces where they offer place to people to come and sit, and they become ways by which the government schemes for funding can be channelized to the startups. They perform that rudimentary role, no more and nothing more than that. I think good incubators, whether it's SIIC or Venture Center or IIM Calcutta Innovation Park, they do these things well. Obviously, the government relies on incubators to do a good job of evaluating startups, doing a due diligence, and then giving them the money. But the good incubators also do a good job of providing infrastructure, particularly if you're a tech incubator like IIT Kanpur or Venture Center, the labs that you provide, the prototyping facilities that you provide, those are vital. Those are not easily available to startups outside. That's one. The second one, where I think every incubator I know needs to do a better job, is in the quality of mentoring. While I think it's done in parts well, but is it being done consistently well by all incubators? I think there is scope for improvement. I think we need a scalable model. Today, SIIC has 100 odd startups. Are all 100 startups getting the same high quality mentoring in a structured manner? Can we create a scalable technology platform by which tens or hundreds of mentors can get involved and they have conversations which help the startup grow? The kind of mentoring we had at the ventilator project, how do you provide that on an ongoing basis? I think that's an area where some more work needs to be done.
Here I will share with you my experience, and I would like you to highlight the importance of mentorship to the startups as well. Like this video will be watched by many of them. So, as you suggested, as you mentioned the ventilator project, you also have been a key driver for the oxygen plant project. So, you know what mentorship can do.
Right.
Now, I will bring you the other side, that SIIC today has some 100 very high quality, dedicated, motivated mentors.
Right.
And we are finding it extremely difficult to encourage the startups to take up mentorship.
Right.
One problem that is there with Indian startups that I am coming across repeatedly is that they are too possessive about their equity from the word go.
Right.
Like, I do not know if I am missing something or it is in general a problem or psychological issue with the startups. My message to them generally has been that if you own 100% of a 10 crore company versus 40% of a 1,000 crore company, it is a whole lot better deal, and a good mentor can take you there.
Right.
But I have so far been failing to do that. So if you can first cite what mentorship did to both the ventilator project and the oxygen plant project, and then your general philosophy about mentorship.
So, what does great mentorship do? I'll take a completely different analogy. When students study for competitive exams or college exams, they use what is called a kunji, right? Which is a concise handbook or a shortcut to success. Mentoring is the biggest hack or the shortcut to success for startups. It's the same equivalent. decades of experience
Yes.
is compressed in that kunji, which is the mind of the mentor, including what mistakes not to make. That to me is the value that mentors bring. I think in the case of the ventilator project and the oxygen project, the role that mentors play is that in today's world, when a startup wants to be successful fast, how do you do that? You can do that by bringing in capable people who can support you and guide you in an accelerated time frame, and that's the role that mentors play. We had 20 people in the ventilator task force, which is why the ventilator could be built in 90 days. And therefore, in the normal course of time, if the right set of mentors are attached to a startup, it is a shortcut to accelerated growth. To answer your question, how do you ensure that your startups accept mentors? There are two ways in which it can be done. I can understand where the inhibition comes from. No one wants to part with equity, and also startups have had bad experience with mentors in terms of not getting the right advice. SIIC or any incubator needs to have very high bar and filters to say who should be onboarded as a mentor. That's step number one. Second is being able to categorize them and say, you can't have a mentor who can guide a startup on all aspects. Therefore, you need to tag a mentor and say, this mentor is great for advice on supply chain. This mentor is great for advice on go-to-market strategy. And then the incubator has to do a good job of saying, what is the group of mentors? Who are the 2 or 3 mentors who you attach to each startup? I think that matchmaking needs a great deal of rigor. That said, how do you create a commercial model? The answer to that lies when you incubate a startup today, you're giving a certain amount of, the incubator takes incubation equity. The incubator is also giving equity and grant money to the startup. We should find a way where at that point of time, when the incubation equity is taken, you carve out maybe 0.25% or 0.5% at that stage itself and say that is meant for mentors. So you don't go and tell a startup later कि आपको और देना है करके. Carve out at the beginning, keep it for mentors, but give it to a set of mentors who've been rigorously evaluated, and then the incubator gives it actually.
That's a very good idea. Like we can certainly try to implement that. And the other part is actually already covered. So the model that we work with, this is for information for the viewers, is that one, like we have a dedicated team that only nurtures the mentor-mentee relationship.
Right.
They are quite familiar with, on top of Ankush and I. Ankush is the professor in charge of the incubator. That who should be the suitable mentor for a particular company. And then what we do is that 1 month is actually given as a warm-up period.
Right.
So where the mentor and mentee interact and no obligations from either side. Once they decide that they will go ahead, then like all the formal agreements etc. come in play. But this part we can certainly.
I'll add one more layer to that, which is that very often what happens is on a day-to-day basis, the startup founders get busy with their work, and the mentor will wait back and see when they contact me, I will mentor them. Instead, create a rigorous calendar or a cadence. For example, one of the accelerators, Entrepreneur First, where I'm a mentor, I have set aside my Thursday morning for Entrepreneur First. And every time a cohort comes in, for the next 3 months, startup A knows that 9:30 to 10 a.m. on Thursday morning is for them. It's calendarized for the next 3 months. So it's a fixed calendar, and only as an exception will that be changed because of exigency. Otherwise, everyone knows that it's part of their life, and therefore it becomes a habit actually.
So great input, Srikant. This we will certainly try to incorporate it in our functioning. Fantastic insight. Now I will come to a little bit about some of the SIIC startups that you have interacted with, and I know that you have interacted with quite a few in different contexts. So any particular startup that you you feel that they're kind of jumping out of the page.
Yeah, I think some that are obvious. The ventilator project, Nokark Robotics, will always be a favorite. Always have a soft corner in our hearts for the amount of effort of time we put in. So that comes to my mind because They built a product which is world class, and hopefully they will take it to the world. So that is obviously top of the list. The other one, which I've interacted with them here and at IIM Calcutta Innovation Park, is Pool. Pool is great because if Nokark is solving a problem of high-end medical equipment, these guys are solving a problem at the other end, taking flowers, converting into agarbatti, creating leather. I think Pool is one great one also. The other one that comes to my mind, although I haven't interacted with them as much in recent years, is Tejas Kusurkar, because what he's doing with battery technology.
Yeah.
Right now it's still quiet, the world is not talking about it, but hopefully one day they'll make a big difference. That's the third one that comes to my mind. Then there is Akshay Srivastav and what he's doing with fertilizers actually. And the fact that he's able to, looking at organic fertilizer, personalized to each farmer, that's again a heartwarming exercise actually. So these four come to my mind.
Yeah, look, fantastic. Like some of your favorites are also my favorites.
It's okay.
And like what fascinates me about SIIC is the whole span of technological universe that because of the IIT Kanpur backing that is possible. And as a parting note, so you are also an alumnus, and the alumni community is deeply vested in the incubator ecosystem. Like now that this is the alumni reunion season, every batch would certainly make a visit to the incubator. They would interact with the companies with there. If you would look back, that what was there or nothing at all during your time versus what is it now, the opportunities available, the ambience has changed altogether. Even in early 2000, entrepreneurship, starting up was a bad word in the academic campuses versus today, so how do you see this transition? How do you see that the academic institutions are evolving with time, and are they actually able to keep pace, or they are falling behind, or they are really chugging it along?
So I think certainly, as far as I can see, the incubator between 2018 January when I first met you and 2024 January when we are speaking today, I think both of us can pat ourselves on the back. You being for a great PIC and me having played a supporting role. So, although it sounds very, very immodest, but I think we can pat ourselves on the back. But as far as IIT Kanpur is concerned, I think the timing was great because Professor Karandikar as director was extremely supportive. That helped. Faculty entrepreneurship policy, student entrepreneurship policy, deferred placement, all of those are systemic changes which hopefully are making a difference. The one area where I think we need to find an answer is to see how can we get many more students which are UGs and PGs becoming entrepreneurs at the incubator. Even today the incubator has a large number of incubators who are from outside the IIT Kanpur ecosystem. How do you build a deeper connect between the research that happens with the faculty and the PG students, and how do you get the UG students to channelize what they do at Tech Kriti, etc. into the incubator? I think those connects are one area where work needs to be done, but I think last 5 years, great foundation has been laid at a point of time when entrepreneurship in India is booming.
Yeah, I will share with you little information from my end, and we will stop at that. So the learning from the ventilator project and the oxygen plant project. What is it that we did? The engineering team, that is the startup company, they were only executing the engineering on ground. And while we had the mentor pool around them, supporting them on every other aspect, whether it is supply chain, fundraising, legal, compliances, everything. So I took a lift from that and applied it in the academic setting. That for me as a faculty member, no matter how interesting and critical a project is, it will still be among 10 other jobs that I have. So my ability to expedite a product development is limited.
Okay.
While both in ventilator project and in oxygen plant project, we had no option but
Right.
to
Expedite it.
expedite it. So the experiment I have done twice now is to take a typical IIT Kanpur project funded by extramural or intramural sources
Okay.
and make it a startup project
That's a great idea.
and surround the startup by mentor pool, which will have both technical mentor as well as
So does LVAD fit into that category?
yeah, like
LVAD fit into that.
LVAD fits into that category. What we did is that we first created the mentor pool.
Right.
We had faculty members from mechanical, material science, electrical, biology, and industry experts like Yasdev, Dr. Pratap Khanvilkar, Dr. Saurabh Bhunia. So that became the mentor pool. This mentor pool then selected the fellows with an explicit ad that you become part of this team, you own the IP, you have the first right to refuse commercialization of the project. And look at the speed at which it
No, I
is being
agree.
executed.
No, I agree.
Same thing is being done for the handheld X-ray project.
Right,
In
right.
fact, ICMR gave us 1 year to execute. We executed it in 8 months.
Right.
And that is with all the constraints that government procurement puts you in. So this is a learning from these projects, and I would say that this is now going to be mainstreamed at IIT Kanpur, that if you are a startup with a very good idea, which is likely to make a world-class product, that is the kind of support will be provided to you, where you will be given access to all the infrastructure, grants, everything, and this mentorship, like a ring of mentors. You only focus on product development and expedite and excel.
Right.
Okay, so that is the model that
Okay.
slowly we are
Right.
gearing up to. So that's something that I thought
Okay.
I'll share with
Great.
you,
Very
because
good.
this is a learning that really
Right.
came from the ventilator project, which was
Right.
really initiated by you. The whole idea of
Right.
creating the mentor pool
Right.
was yours.
Right.
So
Right.
that's how it is being transformed
Right.
in the academic institution.
Right.
So with that, I would like to thank you for your time.
Entirely my pleasure, always. Thank you.
Bye bye.